The battle over who has more control in Congress is already gearing up in Texas. It's all because of the new U.S. Census data. The population of Texas grew by 16% in the past 10 years. That means the Lone Star State gets 2 extra congressional seats, the biggest increase in the country. And the fight over who gets to draw the lines for those new districts is already underway. MSNBC senior national correspondent Chris Jansing joins us now from outside the Texas Capitol in Austin. Chris, good morning. Now, party leadership is already trading barbs over this. So what is each side saying?
Yeah, this is going to be an epic legal battle. There is absolutely no doubt about that, Savannah. Let's start with where we are. These new census numbers came out. Texas gained about 4 million new people in terms of population. And we can show you in a graphic that's 2 more congressional seats. That gives it the second most power, growing power. It's the only state that gained 2 congressional seats, bringing them totally to 38. And here's where it gets interesting. The building you see behind me, the state legislature, they're in session right now. Those are the folks that have the power to redraw those district lines, decide where those congressional districts are. It's controlled by Republicans. The governorship is in Republican hands, and the state legislative board is Republican, which means they're the ones who get to decide that. Boy, it is going to be a huge fight. I talked to key people on both sides to get their take. Take a listen.
Well, I think it's going to be a big fight. Texas, unfortunately, shamefully, has a history of passing racially discriminatory maps, gerrymandered maps on a racial basis that have disenfranchised African-American, Hispanic, and Asian-American communities in Texas. And that's not me saying that. That's federal courts that have said that repeatedly over the last decade.
What the Democrats are doing is, once again, it's the racial divisiveness and the identity politics. When they're just losing elections, they're losing population from blue states, and they're coming here to Texas because people want better opportunities.
If history tells us anything, well, 10 years ago, there was another huge legal fight, which is why they see this happening once again. Those 4 million people we mentioned who have moved into Texas, they are predominantly people of color. And so what the Democrats argue is these districts need to represent that mix.
And Chris, now, if you could help put in context for us also just why Texas is so important to the big national picture here and what these 2 extra seats mean.
Yeah, that's the critical piece of this, right? Because Nancy Pelosi, of course, and the Democrats control the U.S. House of Representatives, but Republicans in 2022 would only have to pick up 5 seats. 5 seats, and redistricting is critical to that. Now, if you want to go back and take a look at 2020, it's fascinating. The Democrats won big in terms of the overall popular vote. But take a look at the places. If you look at the states where there's total control by the Republicans, as you can probably hear the backfiring of that motorcycle, only 75 of those congressional districts are going to be controlled by Democrats in those states, again, where they have total control, compared to 187 districts that are controlled by the Republicans. So they have that advantage, and they also have a historic advantage because these first elections often favor the party not in the White House. In that case, of course, it would be the Republicans, Savannah.
Now, Chris, thank you for battling with that for us. That sounded like that was maybe a whole pack of motorcycle riders. It would not stop.
Yeah, actually, I think I can Savannah, if I can, I have a little bit more sound that will tell you about the big national picture. Take a listen. Please. And the money that's going to come in here, by the way.
Yeah, let's listen.
We know that they're going to flood money in here from people like Michael Bloomberg, Mark Zuckerberg, George Soros, whomever you wish. But the thing is that Texas is strong because of the policies of Texas are strong. And the policies of Texas are about advancing individuals and their hopes, dreams, and aspirations.
Republicans like to talk a lot about the Texas miracle, our growing economy and everything. That miracle is driven not by Republican policies in this building behind me. It's driven by the people of this state, our diverse population, our immigrant communities, and so our redistricting maps should give voice to that Texas miracle. The stakes for the U.S. Congress are enormous. You can't be overstated.
Yeah, and it is true that here in Texas, 10 years ago, the maps that were drawn were declared unconstitutional. It pushed back the primary. Talk to Democrats here, and they'll tell you that that extra time gave Ted Cruz time to build his name recognition, and he ended up getting elected. There are so many aspects of this and why it's so critically important, Savannah.
It certainly is. Great sound, great interviews as always. And again, thanks for sticking with all that distraction going on over there. Chris, thanks so much.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.